And I'm going to start recording. Hi, everyone. Today is a special day. We're going to talk about role of the modern tester. It's a controversial topic a little bit. I'm expecting we're not all agreeing, but we're going to have a debate and maybe discussion. And maybe we can agree on some kind of understanding of where we are as a profession and what is the role of the modern testing, because obviously it's changing. I'm joining you here from Dublin because I just did yesterday a keynote on the future in test leadership. And obviously the role of software testing will be changed. It was changed, and there is a tendency, there is a trend where it's going to go. I'm not going to tell you because today we're going to discuss, for the next hour, we're going to discuss it among the participants. And please introduce yourself. You joined me for this wonderful discussion. Please introduce yourself.
Who goes first?
You are.
First? I go first. We all go first. Let me go first then. My name is Anders Dinsen. I am a software tester, test manager, consultant. I've worked in testing since 2003, and I still remember what my test manager asked me after 1 week of my first testing gig, which was, what is your gut feeling? And I'm still trying to find out what is my gut feeling about the things I'm testing. I'm presenting a masterclass at Contest on November 14th, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'm also doing a talk on the conference. I'm looking forward to that too.
Thank you, Anders. Alan. Hi, Alan. We don't hear you.
How about now?
Perfect.
I have a new headset and it's flaky and I'm kind of mad. I was going to suggest we go alphabetically, but then we all have names starting with A, which was a very interesting choice on your part, Anna. And then I couldn't get any farther than that. I'm Alan. I've been in software since 1993, usually in testing roles. I spent a bunch of time at Microsoft, joined Unity Technologies about a year and a half ago. Also podcast on the A/B testing podcast. I'll be at PNSQC next week, which is my last conference for some time. I'm not scheduling any more conferences for a while, so looking forward to that though. And I also happen to be the author of something some of you may have heard of called the Modern Testing Principles.
All right, thank you. Iryna.
Okay, my name is Iryna. I work in Dailymotion as QA architect. So I've been testing since 7. So my role now is to come to the company and build testing process, testing frameworks, and test team, and tell and teach other people how to test. And I'm also will be presenting at the contest. I will be talking about using automation using Golang for automation.
Thank you. And Arun. We don't hear you, Arun. Yeah.
Audible?
Yes.
It's audible?
Now we hear you.
Oh, okay. I don't know what happened, but anyway. Good afternoon. I'm basically from India, but for the last 3 years, I am in upstate New York, a place called Webster. I have almost 13 years of experience in testing. A fresh graduate joined in a company and initially trained on development, but later moved to a testing. Okay. And I don't want to be in bench, and that's how I started my journey testing. And I still be very.
I think we lost you.
I have a keen interest in reading and writing technical papers, mostly related to the testing. And my whole career is in testing and mostly into the performance testing. Okay. And I'll be happy to. I'm very excited to present a paper in this year contest, NYC 2018 on continuous comprehensive performance testing.
Thank you. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the role of modern testing. And I would like Alan to start that conversation because obviously this is something that Alan is very passionate about because he called his podcast and I think there is a Slack channel to talk about the modern testing. So Alan, for you, what is the role of the modern tester?
I think maybe first we start off with, you still hear me, right? Like,
yes.
What is modern testing? And it's nothing particularly modern. The way I use it is it's a solution, an antidote, the fix for traditional test last waterfall-y models of testing where all the testing happened at the very end. So the role of the modern tester is very much like the role of the agile tester, where they're embedded in the team. They are the testing and quality expert for the team, but not the person who does all the testing on the team. Just like you may have a performance expert or a database expert or a front-end expert on a team, you'll have a testing and quality expert who happens to be the best at that, best specialty of that on the team. And their role is to not do all that work, but to make sure the testing and quality work gets done. There it is in a nutshell.
Okay. And Anders, in your...
I would say that I actually agree with Alan. Let me say that up front, that modern testing is not something particularly modern. I actually, I like to say that testing is 2,000-year-old craft that started with proving the quality of gold. And that must somehow be at the core of testing still today, because I think what stakeholders hire us for is to say something rational about quality. And that's not that simple. It's certainly not as simple as it was when we just melted gold in a tester over fire, because software is something that's a lot different. I'm not, however, too much these times into agile testing. At the moment, I'm working on a more waterfallish project. We do continuous testing, but I see a lot of need of traditional type testing actually out there still.
And Iryna, what's your take on it?
Yeah, so what I say that mostly QA are embedded in agile team nowadays, and they like quality expert. I agree with Alan, but they are not the one who does all the testing, and that means that QA should be respected by the team. If you want your team to be doing something or develop the code in the same way, it means that you need to be respected and you need to be an expert in software development. So I think now QA should be even more educated in terms of software development and computer science than most of the developers on the team. So they're all changed like from person who can type a button and has a quality mindset and can break things to the person who understands on the deep down level how these things are built and how they will work in production, and can suggest some ways even to change development process and how we can improve development.
Okay. And Arun, what do you think?
Okay, so what I see for the last almost 14 years, okay, so I'll tell you like first 3 years of my experience, we usually see a project specific tester, which Alan was talking about more into the traditional waterfall model of kind of thing, right? And then later we see the testing COE model where it will become more into the the kind of iterative model where we do a lot of testing, but we do it like a release based, maybe like 3 major release or maybe like 2 minor releases over a period of 1 year, right? And then nowadays we are moving to the agile where the sprint is coming even in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, not sometimes even in 1 week. So that is a huge changes that's happening. And the role wise, what I trying to say is like, people has been the role, and then the designation has also been changed. People earlier call as a test analyst, where they are project specific tester, right? Then later for TCOE, they come as a testing engineer, maybe like senior testing engineer. And nowadays people are talking about SDET, right? Software development engineer in testing, or maybe like software design tester in engineering test, right? So that is a traditional thing is happening. And we see like last 3 years, it has been a major push from across companies that we have to do it agile, we have to do it release fast kind of thing. And I'll definitely like to add one liner for Anders. Still, I am also doing a kind of, we are not doing not doing anything which is agile based. We are doing still the traditional measure based thing. But even if you think that way, it's also kind of agile where we do continuous. It's like only the time window is, instead of a 2 weeks, it is a 3 months. Okay, so that's the difference. It's like a train is going on, and whenever you are ready, you are just coming into the train. Okay, so that is a kind of a small or maybe like a bigger picture of agile, but still we are doing continuous and we are in traditional testing.
Okay, thank you. So it seems that all of you are working in a little bit different environments, and maybe the role of the tester is different because the environments are different. I'm not sure if that's true. But Alan, when you say that the modern tester takes on more like quality initiatives, what does it mean? What are the skills that the person needs to have? Yesterday, you've been testing software, you've been given the software builds, and you execute your tests and you find the bugs. And then you report your bugs into bug tracking system, and basically that's your job.
No.
What has changed? What are the new skills that you need to have? What is it?
You described the old job, right? Because
Yes, I did.
That's a traditional tester's job. Just checking. Couple things. I'm going to fit in a few rebuttals here in the meantime. Not really rebuttals, but maybe additions. Is one thing to keep in mind is that Agile is not about iterating. Agile is about adapting, and you iterate in order to adapt. But the goal is, of course, to be adaptable, not to iterate. Most of the stuff I work on ships between 5 and 15 times a week. Some things as much as 5 and 15 times a day. So it's a little, you don't have time to do a test pass and enter bugs.
So you're not entering bugs?
In many cases, no, because we don't have a bug backlog. Bugs are fixed as they're found. Also keeping in mind that most of the bugs are not found by the modern testers on my team. They're found by the developers they work with. We do a lot of pair testing. That's how we coach and teach our developers how to be better testers. Again, because we're in that role of testing and quality expert, we're helping the team become better testers so they can find those bugs before they ever check them in and then fix them. And then in the rare case where we do get bugs from customers, we stop and fix them right away. In those cases, we have something entered through our customer issue tracking system, but it's very short-lived because we fix those right away. Okay, to answer your question about skills, I believe in the role of the specializing generalist, meaning you're going to be know a lot about a little and a little about a lot. So there isn't a core blueprint of skills you would need to know to be a modern tester by my definition. You're going to know a lot about quality, you're going to be, and tools, probably have some good thoughts and ideas around test design, test automation, architecture that you'll be working with developers on building, but also the ability to dive in and do other things related to quality. I'll go through some examples of the variety of things testers / quality testing experts on my team work on. One is implementing a feature flag system for one of our web services. A couple work extensively on enhancing and building out our continuous integration environments. Some are working on some reporting systems that gather a bunch of varied data together. Some are fixing static analysis bugs found in the code. A lot of my testers do some amount of feature development work in addition to their testing activities. And others are looking very extensively into customer data we've collected and influencing both testing as well as product decisions based on what they find. So those sorts of things that help us achieve our team mission, which is to accelerate the achievement of shippable quality. Our mission isn't to find bugs. Our mission isn't to inform stakeholders. We want to make sure we get quality software to our customers in the most efficient way possible. And to me, that's the role of the modern tester.
Okay, and the skills obviously a little bit different because you said something about data analysis. And I want to ask Arun, because Arun is talking like for several conferences already about continuous monitoring and continuous testing, and data analysis become, I think, the key. And it was a special job before, but I think your message, Arun, is that it's kind of everybody's job right now. Is that true? Like data analysis, a lot of monitoring and analysis of data. Arun?
Yes, absolutely. It's like what I say is like even the performance or maybe like the quality is not only a tester roles. It is like everybody's job. When I say everybody, I trying to say like application owner to developer to the stakeholder to the tester to the operations team. Okay. Now, when you talked about the data analysis, like nowadays, when we talked about more into the application performance or maybe like the customer experiences that these digital matured applications are going, or even for the traditional application performance monitoring thing, you have to capture the data, you have to analyze the data. The moment you will be analyzing the data, you're going to get a lot of statistics, right? And you can get those data and statistics to utilize your next testing environment. You can simulate well in advance inside your environment to simulate the real user behavior. Okay, so that is something definitely required, because until and unless you do some kind of testing, how you'll know what's going to happen in your production? It's not like just you are clicking a functional thing, you are clicking and the response is not coming, so that means it's not working, so we had to resolve it, right? But it is something, a non-functional attribute which comes again under testing only. So that is something for those cases data is absolutely required, and it's a multi-user thing, so you need to have a lot of data and a different perspective.
Okay, thank you. And Iryna, what's your take on the skills? Because you have a lot to say about
that. Yeah, so what I know, like, of course, QA should be able to test, know a lot about quality, be able to go deep down, but also requirement, at least for me and for my team, is ability to code. And what I see that like 50% of people that I'm interviewing cannot write even simple function. So that's kind of disturbing because a person who is not able to code just will not survive in my team because we automating a lot, whole team automating, but we also automating tools and frameworks, and it just required, like, there is no job for person who can not code here. And we often first in our team to introduce new stuff, like not in our team, but in our company. For example, QA, we put our testing framework into the Docker before other team did, before developers did it. So we were ahead, and then we enforced modern way to deploy stuff onto developers, not that they came to us. So it's more about knowing about a little bit of everything and be able to learn something deep down very quickly.
Wonderful. And Anders, because you're working with more traditional environments, what's your take on do testers need new skills in those environments? Waterfall?
Yeah,
yes?
They do. Absolutely. And I think what you all three are talking about, Alan, Iryna, and Arun, I think you're missing something, because you're all three talking about technology. But you're also talking about the team, and you're actually missing the part that's the most important, the social collaborative part of testing. Iryna, you talk about being able to code, but what you really need, you need people who can interact in the team, but also out of the team. And that's one thing that matters in waterfallish projects. Waterfall projects are not just waterfall because it's a process. That's important to remember. We have a waterfall project because there are some things that need to be done before other things can be allowed in. There's often a political context out of it. At the moment, I'm working on a highly political project, which is running a good fraction of the whole state project budget in Denmark. So we need to do things right. We can't ship several times a day. We got to be in control, and we got to be accountable to a different level, even a legal level. That changes our context, but the core of it, and that's the important thing for me, is that it's still social and collaborative, and that's the most important skill I'd like to highlight right now. Okay.
And Alan, in your opinion, because I understand, I kind of have an idea what your testers do, and the social aspect, can you tell a little bit more? Because when you say they like champions for quality, and
no, I never said champions of quality. I dislike.
I said that. Okay. But you mentioned something. You mentioned the word quality, right? So
yeah.
I
said they're the quality and testing experts for their team.
So what does quality expert mean? What is there a social aspect to it besides technology?
Well, yeah.
What is it?
And to be clear, I did mention we do a ton of pair testing, but I think my colleagues here on the call would agree that testers aren't responsible for quality. But one thing I do expect of my team and hold them accountable for is building the quality culture of the team. So their role, I work with everyone on my team on leadership skills and give them opportunities to practice so they can influence how the team approaches everything from technical debt to work item tracking to data to leadership in order to consistently improve the quality culture of the team. And that, I think, is an inherently collaborative process, but also one where it gives them plenty of opportunities for leadership. So another skill you need as far as skills to be a modern tester is leadership and influence.
And Arun, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I agree with Alan, but I would like to add one line here. Yes, obviously we need to be collaborative. We need to build as a culture inside our organization that quality should be the uttermost thing. It should be the important factor. But the main thing is we are working for customers, right? We are working for our end users. So you have to, when you are a tester, you have to think like a user, think like a real customer, okay? And you have to understand the customer benefits. You have to understand that customers can think, and that is what you have to play a role. It's not like your development team is trying to do something extra features, but that is not going to be beneficial for your end customer. So you should not, you have to take that role. You have to think like you are a customer and you have to stop that, right? So that is an additional thing which you have to think. So that is what my understanding inside of the extra collaborative thing, right? So, and you have to take that challenges. Means you being a tester, you have to take that challenges and you have to take that decision. You have to talk to the end user, and that is what the UAT, where we directly talk to the alpha testing or beta testing, or we directly talk to the users and trying to get those kinds of things and ensure like those are actually implemented. So I will say like more into like you have to think like a customer, think like a real user.
Okay. And Iryna, what's your take on it? Social aspect.
Yeah, as I mentioned that QA should be respected, and part of this is being knowledgeable, and part of this being like actual leader. I agree totally. Plus, I believe that QA should love QA process and consider it fun, not a work. So because when you make it sounds like a fun, when you enjoy it, rest of the team kind of like it too, because you enjoy it, so it's probably something cool that we do. So yeah, enjoy it, collaboration, leadership, and technical skills. That's all should be in the perfect package.
So lead by example, in a way. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And Anders, what's your take on it?
Lead by example. I like the fun part, Iryna. I think fun is in some ways more important than a lot of other things because that's where we can become playful. Alan, I kind of like your idea of the building of quality culture, but it's a difficult thing because I'm not sure.
We shouldn't be doing this job because we think it's easy, right?
No, but the problem with quality culture is that it's very abstract. Okay, tell me why it's not.
Because you can define anything that's abstract. You can define. You can break it down and define for you in your context what are the attributes that make up a quality culture.
Okay, let me tell you something. We can't know what software does until we test it, and that's a problem I have with unless quality culture actually means testing all the time, which I think you actually are saying. Then I'm not sure, but I think a lot of people are misunderstanding it. This is a worry I have, and so if we're talking about. There could be an attitude to the modern tester saying, hey, testing is actually very, very important. I think testing is going to be huge in a few years. I think we're looking at a very bright future, but it's also a very complex future where things are happening that are more like the things that you're talking about, Alan, where you are shipping all the time, where you're putting things in production all the time, and the things I'm working with on the other side, which is where things are at stake and we really need to do it right. We can't do it wrong. And the testing, Iryna, I think you said something about, no, it was you, Arun, that said something about thinking like the customer and the real user. And that's very important, getting into the minds of those who matter, because quality is something to someone. And then doing the testing that encapsulates that.
Absolutely. So for people like some cases 2-second response time is very good for some people. Some people it's 5 seconds is good. So you have to think that way. Absolutely agree.
What should be the attitudes for the tester in this? If it's a little bit of new role, I'm hearing several things that are new to how many testers perceive what their responsibilities are. So can you kind of few words on what's the attitude of a tester on a team?
I will say like taste to break attitude. Okay. So it's like the taste to break. So you have to always think like I have to break it. Okay, the moment you will be thinking in the breaking in the mode of analytical skill will come, more into like logical thinking will come. So that is what I always think, right? And second thing is like I'll go with the Alan's ones. Like what I understand from Alan's line is he's trying to say like taste early, taste often, and maybe like taste even after production. So he's just saying like testing at the very beginning so that you find all those issues as early as possible, and that is a cost effective solution, right? And that is what the quality culture that's going to be implemented. And if you actually make your team knowing that it is going to save you money a lot of aspects, or it's going to help you both into a both in terms of cost and the time, then definitely they will be that culture will be coming. Okay, so it's not like a one-day job like you will make it and you will next day the culture will come. But if it is a all the way benefits, then culture will come. And that is what I always believe, like if you do taste early and taste often and taste every time, then definitely it's going to help you out. But what I don't like from Alan's project, what he is trying to picturize into our mind, is he always says like we work together, and the moment we get a ticket or maybe like a issue and we resolve it then and there, we do not have any kind of defect management or reporting management thing, which I don't like. Being a test manager, you have to report it, you have to put it in somewhere in some pages. Okay, and that's something referential. So it's not like it's going to help you in terms of the overall quality, but it can help you a lot of other aspects. Okay, so that is something I'll definitely add on what Alan was saying. Okay.
So you like to analyze the data. That's interesting. So
Yes.
so to you, kind of collecting this data is something that can be used. Understood. Iryna, what's your take? What's the attitude of the testers in the modern team? What should be the attitude?
Like, I agree with Arun about break everything. Like, you need to be such a maniac. You should think that whatever you get is completely broken, and try to test as good as much as you could. But over the years, what I say, we all trying to decrease number of tests, but put most important tests because we are moving too fast. So think about how to decrease time of testing without sacrificing quality. Of course, it should be like different industries are different. What is allowed in edtech is not allowed in medical software or in some medical devices. That's totally different approach. But break anything, minimize efforts, maximize quality, basically. Try to make everybody else think that everything is bad and they need to ensure that everything is good.
And Anders, what's your take on attitude of the testers?
It's playfulness and exploration, I think, and that is, to me, one of the most important parts of the cultural aspect. Actually, that we have that we want to play with the things, and we want to make sure that they work as people say they do, but we doubt it. I mean, we're not going to start playing with the thing. Because we believe it does what it does, because then we could just leave it as it is. We have our doubts in it. So play and doubt.
Okay. And Alan, what's your take? I didn't ask you yet, right?
I might have answered even though you didn't ask me.
Okay. So that's an important question. The expertise. What the modern tester should be an expert in? And those are be elaborate, because that's really important question. Because we kind of talk about generalist and what does that mean to be an expert in testing? What does it mean? What it entitles?
You didn't want a short answer, but I say you need to be an expert in learning.
Expert in learning.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Because it's you need to be able to recognize what needs to get done and find it. Going back to my point of accelerating the achievement of shippable quality, that means I'm a firm follower of the theory of constraints, and I think we need to be able to see what the bottlenecks are in a system, and if needed, mitigate those bottlenecks. For the teams of mine that don't use bug tracking systems, for example, the bug tracking system at that point was a bottleneck, so we eliminated it. You need to look and see what else that is. It may be deployment times, it may be testing times, it may be a bunch of different things. We need to figure out what those bottlenecks are and help the team get rid of them.
No, I'll add one point here. I agree from the quality perspective. I agree. Like if there is an issue, you are resolving it, and that is what everybody is looking for. But when you talked about the non-functional attributes, right? Again, I will come with the same. Your page is coming in 3 seconds, right? And your SLA is saying our business is looking for 2 seconds, right? At this moment, you can't do anything at that point of time other than adding more servers, which is a cost effective thing, right? So you have to add a lot of money to get the quality at that point of time. So it is like the journey which you will be making it like 2 seconds, right? You cannot do it then and there, everything at that point of time. So you had to, then again, like how you are going to say, like you resolve the quality. That is what I was trying to say. I didn't say like testing and coding team will sit together and resolving. That's like the ideal situation. If rather than sending 5 mails and getting it or putting it in the QC and then resolving it, it's definitely going to take more time rather than resolving it. If they work as a team, if they had that kind of culture.
Okay. And Iryna, in your opinion, what is the expertise in testing means? What is the expert in testing?
Know where stuff is breaking, and be able to provide some metrics or some information that tells you clearly, is it good enough to be deployed in production? I'm not saying or to be in production, not to be deployed, to be in production and be used by real users. Good enough, also you need to be able to find this good enough, because as I said, for different industries, good enough is different. Plus, knowing not all the, but know that there are test techniques and test design techniques and how we can approach different testing and how we can speed up it. And last but not least, QAs and testers are software engineer, and we should remember this part, that you are software engineer. You are trying to break things, not build things, but still software engineer. So everything that comes into that counts.
Okay, so that expertise is important for you. Anders, everybody has a name. We're starting with A.
I agree, Iryna, that we are software engineers. I think it's very important to know and have an understanding about technology. Understanding of what's the kind of technology we're working with. If you're working with a system that is working one way, you need to understand that and you need to have experience with it. So there's a technology domain there. For example, I'm currently working with SAP systems, and I mean, they are SAP systems. They're very special in many ways. So it's good to know that. That's one thing that's very important. And then you can be specialized in automation, or you can be specialized in other things that you do, exploratory testing. I mean, that's also something that I'll be looking for. But then there's the values thing, understanding what matters to people. And that involves communication, or at least a part of communication that involves a lot of listening and understanding of what is at stake in the company that we're working for, in the organization, in the context, really, so that we know what is the important stuff. And combining those two things, then with collaboration, I think we've got we got to get it working.
So in your opinion, expertise in testing is both collaboration and understanding the priority and the context of where you do your testing, right? What does your team do?
It's completely fundamental to me that testing focuses on the important stuff, and the important stuff is the stuff that's at stake for the user or the stakeholder or society or whoever, right?
Cool.
But I like to add one point here. I am definitely echoing Alan and Anders both, right? Obviously, we need to be curious to learn and upgrade our knowledge. But being a test manager, you had to ensure like your testers are versatile, okay? So maybe like I have a set of people, okay? So I got a project in a X technology, and later point of time I get a new technology where service provider companies work. You have to, being a tester, you have to be versatile. You have to understand different technologies. You have to understand different, even on the same projects, maybe like the technology perspective is not different, but you have to support it at any point of time. The one Anders was saying, it is a matter of stakeholders, right? They had to understand. So if you are doing X testing and the requirement is for Y testing, you have to do that. So you have to be versatile for sure.
So, it's a nice segue into a controversial question. The role of test managers, all are you test managers? Meaning that you drive what your testers' role are. And obviously you thinking a little bit different, all of you. So the role of modern test manager, where is that? What is it? It's changed. I think it's changed. And just tell me, what do you think your role is? What do you think the modern test manager is supposed to be doing?
I'm pretty sure no one's going to like my answer, so I'll start. My role as a modern test manager is to eliminate my role. When I joined the company, I had a team of about 45 people spread out across a whole crap ton of teams. I am down to 12 on my team. Probably within the next 6 months, I will no longer be a test manager by design. My role will still be here. I'll take on some other tasks. I still lead the organization-wide quality culture. I still meet with several of the quality and testing experts to ensure that the quality of our products and the way we approach quality continues to improve. But if I'm on my way to being what I think is successful, and that is eliminating my role. Honestly, I don't think modern test managers are needed if the team owns quality by themselves.
So what you say and what I'm hearing, maybe just tell me if it's correct. So the manager as in supervisor is not needed as long as the team kind of takes on responsibility for quality itself.
I consider myself now, when I joined Unity, and especially going into the future, I am a quality community leader.
Quality community leader. So this is, it seems that like it's a change in the role of software test manager.
But I'm not managing testing. I mean, even now, most of the work that my team does, 95% comes from the dev leads that they work with and the developers they work with. And the other 5% comes from some coaching and mentoring that I give now and will continue to give. So the more I do this and the better my team gets at it, the less need there is for me to manage a test team.
Cool. And I'm going to go to Arun because he may disagree with that.
Oh, I think pretty much everyone's going to disagree with that.
No, it's not disagree. It is like I actually agree. But the thing is, like, if you think that way and being in the service provider industry, if you're trying to make the number from 45 to 12, that means you are losing your company. Okay, so your roles will be automatically gone in that perspective. But what I am trying to say is, like, you increase the number is not a problem. You increase the number of projects, okay, and you, even if you go with the cost effective, you have 4 resources, now you are making 2 resources and you are doing the same job that is required, and that is what the expertise comes into the picture. Okay, so we become test manager. We started our career with tester, become a test leader, and then become test manager, right? So we actually know what a tester role is. It's not like we suddenly become a test manager rather than doing testing. Okay, so we know actually what a tester does. Okay, and we know that we had that expertise. So we had to spend our time not only on the management or reporting the thing, but you can do a lot of POCs, and we all know, like, the whole industry is changing, and everybody, like Iryna said, like, all the people he's in his place, if you don't know coding, there is no place to survive, right? So that is something you have to do. You personally do it, and you set up an example for your resources. If you do that, they will follow you. They can understand, like, your manager is doing, your team is doing, and they will get inspired. And there are a lot of other aspects. It's not only about the testing role. Even if you go with the no code, low code, like, lot of developments is happening, right? So their roles are also getting changed. They don't have to code nowadays, and tester has to do more code. So the roles are changing because of the modern era, because of the lot of new technology is coming. So expertise is definitely required, and we, being a test manager, can set up by example, actually.
Okay. And Iryna, what do you think? The role of modern test manager, where is it?
So I prefer test architect. Also,
Okay.
I have people reporting to me. So I don't think that I am their manager. I am mostly roadblock remover. I'm trying to remove, like, stuff that does not allow us to have better quality. And I prefer being software architect, not software manager, because I also don't want to manage people, and I want to build quality inside the code, inside the process. Why we still, it's more coordination now, because if I let everybody do what they want, they do great things, but it will be like chaos. So I'm implementing the same standards for all the teams. So we can deliver, like we have agile teams that build completely different stuff, and it should work together. So my role is enable these pieces to work together and build some unified process that helps them all move smoothly, and build frameworks and tools and enable them to do that. So that's, I believe, role in the future.
Okay, enabler. Okay, and others.
I think the most important, interesting thing about what you said, Alan, and I'm just teasing you now, is that you said you thought we wouldn't agree with you. I agree completely with you. I can't disagree. How can I disagree? I mean, any kind of serious leadership has to be targeted about eliminating yourself. Then what is leadership about? There's a lot of other things happening in leadership. For example, the world is a dynamic thing. Things change. In the public sector, politics change. So for me as a test manager, I need to stay abreast of some of the latest developments to make sure that I know what's going on, just as development managers need to do, whereas developers tend to dive into the code. Alan, I think you probably also understand, I mean, you're building a tool that enables other people to build great stuff. That's how I understand Unity. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yep. And you'll probably be looking for new types of doing this, new market, stuff like that, and seeing that with your experience as a tester. I'm just guessing now, but I think that's one thing that has certainly changed in test management, and by the way, in management in general, that leadership and management is not about being the authority, but about interacting in the social context where things are dynamic in a different way, right? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So in your opinion, Anders, I know that you're agreeing with Alan, but in the environment where you are, what is this role? Can you do what Alan does in those environments?
No.
In this context?
No, first of all, I have an offshore team that I need to keep updating all the time on what's going on here in nearshore. Because they need to understand our values, and I need to keep communicating them to them. So I can't stay out of that, and I actually have to direct the testing to a certain level. That said, however, the offshore team has to be completely independent. I mean, I don't sit with them. They're working independently. They sit with the developers. So they do a lot of things themselves, and I just kind of make sure, remove the obstacles, make sure that they get contact with designers, get access to client resources, etc., stuff like that. So yes and no.
Okay, all right. And we kind of have a few minutes left. So if somebody is entering the software testing field, what would be your advice to somebody who's starting right now? Word of wisdom, advice, what to expect, what to do, what to learn, what, skills, attitude.
I'm going to say what my first test manager said to me when I was in my first full-time testing job. And she came to me after 1 week and asked me, what is your gut feeling, Anders? And I'm going to say, if you're going into testing, start listening for your gut feeling about the product, about the system, about the project, about the organization, and think about it and share what you're seeing with people, because they'll be interested.
And Iryna, what's your advice to somebody who's just starting?
Enjoy the hunt. It should be like hunting feeling. Enjoy it. Try to find it. Try to kill it.
Cool. Arun, what's your advice to somebody who's starting?
I will say like eager to learn, because you don't know which you are going to get it, whether it will be coding or whether you are going to do not exploratory testing, or whether you will be doing non-functional attributes. You don't know. So basically you need to have eager to learn. I think that will be the right word, or maybe like some kinds of basic analytical thinking, which already understand. It's on the same line, yeah.
Okay, and Alan, your word of advice to somebody who is starting in software testing.
Boy, learn to do a lot of different things in addition to testing.
Like what?
Make yourself valuable to the team. At first, that may be testing, but long term, it's going to be probably be something. Your long-term success is probably in something besides testing.
Interesting.
It's great to develop expertise, but the value is probably going to come from elsewhere.
What do you mean?
I mean, I think as more and more teams that I work with, and even directly and in similar industries, we're finding that developers know how to test just fine, and we can teach them what they don't know. It's for testers in many industries, the role is becoming not the activity. The role is becoming obsolete. Plenty of companies along the West Coast here of the States do not have dedicated testers. So it's and that's, I think, for a lot, obviously not all, but for a lot of organizations, that's a valid direction. And of course, I think if people really want to be a testing and quality expert, will always be roles, but you'll need to be able to do other things as well. I think the era of someone who can just do testing, it has some years left, but will eventually end.
Cool. So something new and shining and exciting is going to wait for us, because quality leadership is something that we all excited about, I believe. And yes, learn new skills, understand the big picture, and be valuable to the team. Thank you very much, dear participants in that roundtable. It was amazing. I would love for us to stop here and go into Slack channel. And we have some attendees here who are welcome to ask the questions for the panelists, to asking questions to the panelists. So for the next half an hour, please go to Slack, and I'm going to stop recording here, and we're going to continue the conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.